In national news, the official poverty rate remains steady at 11.5%, with 37.9 million people in poverty in 2022, according to the Federal Census Bureau. Despite these numbers, more than two-thirds of the U.S. House of Representatives voted in favor of increasing the Pentagon's budget to a record $886 billion in annual military spending.
Hey Congress, we demand from you, move the money. And the president needs to hear this too, move the money. Both parties playing us like a fool, move the money. We wanna feed the people, yes we do, move the money. We got the students, the teachers, the pre-K, the seniors, the budgets are cut, so teachers are leaving, the music and arts, the students, they want it, but just like free lunch, politicians, they cut it, so Congress can give more money for war, that makes the rich richer and increasing the poor, so don't you dare laugh, cause it's not funny, we have to organize to move the money. Hey Congress, we demand from you, move the money, and the president needs to hear this too, move the money. Both parties playing us like a fool, move the money. We wanna feed the people, yes we do, move the money. More cuts to healthcare, housing, and food. Society is crumbling, becoming unglued. Carjackings, drive-bys, and even mass shootings. We can do a lot to change, who are we fooling? Invest in programs like health and nutrition. No more military bases, guns and ammunition. No money for housing makes us feel crummy. We all must unite to fight to move the money. Hey Congress, we demand from you, move the money. And the president needs to hear this too, move the money. Both parties playing us like a fool, move the money. We wanna feed the people, yes we do, move the money. There's 750 U.S. military bases in over 80 countries. That's a lot of places. The U.S. is the #1 supplier of guns. They end up in our streets killing our daughters and our sons. Both parties increase the Pentagon's budget, who never ever in their history passed an audit. They can't even say ceasefire, how cruddy. So it's up to us to make them move the money. Hey Congress, we demand from you, move the money. And the president needs to hear this too, move the money. Both parties playing us like a fool, move the money. We wanna feed the people, yes we do, move the money. I say we need gun control at the Pentagon. We need gun control at the Pentagon. We need gun control at the Pentagon. Hey, we got to move that money. No more bombs, say no to war in Africa. Thank you, Junkyard.
At the core of so many of the reasons that Americans are underserved, from healthcare, housing, education.
It's going to be the power and the voices of people throughout the country that's going to make this change.
You know, if they can't account for equipment, if they can't justify why a hammer has to cost hundreds of dollars, then we should be spending that money. It's really that simple. We wouldn't do anything differently for spending on education or healthcare. Why should we for the Department of Defense?
So, hello everybody, welcome to this first event of the Michigan Move the Money campaign and the coalition. My name is Bill Meyer, and I'm the chair of the Michigan chapter of the U.S. Peace Council, and also the temporary chair of the Move the Money Michigan campaign. I'm also a band leader and musician. That's usually what I do, but I also do this too. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you to all the tables that have come to bring their literature. And we'd like to invite all the people at the tables to come and join us in the room so we can all be in front of the speakers that are coming up here. We also have, at this point, 25 or so organizations that are part of the coalition. This is a great start before our first public meeting. And they all are here with their signs on, representing their organization as a member of this group. So let's give them all a nice round of applause for being the founding members of the coalition. So Michigan Peace Council initiated this current version of Move the Money campaign, which currently has 25 members, and we've just begun. Peace Action in Michigan, Veterans for Peace, CodePink, and others have long worked on this issue. It's not a new issue. Over the years, it's been called other things. It's been called People Before Profits, People Before Pentagon, War Economy versus the Peace Economy, Move Money to Human Needs, Stop Politicians from Profiting from War, stuff like that. The MMC, this coalition, is a rich blend of a wide variety of organizations. There's only a few limitations, restrictions for the coalitions. That is, right now it's an organizational coalition, so it's only organizations, and we have one representative from each organization to represent their own organization. But we're having our official first founding meeting on November 9th next month to formally announce the leadership, the elected leadership of the coalition, and establish a bank account and start setting our plans for action. So if your group's not part of this coalition and you have a group that want to be part of it, please join us. So let's start with this. Of our four major speakers coming, Representative Arbor Lee, who saw the movie, from California. Many of you know her as the only congressperson who voted against the Patriot Act. I mean, that was a bold position to take. Well, she's also the originator of this People Before Pentagon bill, which you saw represented in this film. She couldn't be here in person, but she, even in her busy schedule, she found a chance to record a video message to all of us here. So we're going to let you watch this right now.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to thank Move the Money Michigan campaign for inviting me to address you all here today. The topic we are discussing today is one that I have been fighting for since I was first elected to Congress, moving money away from funding wars towards funding our communities. Now, in California, in Michigan, and in states across our country, our people continue to struggle with the cost of living and accessing basic needs like housing and health care. Meanwhile, we spend nearly $1 trillion, mind you, $1 trillion on military, which is over 40% of worldwide total military spending and more than the next 10 countries combined, most of whom are our allies. Now, on top of that, last year the Defense Department failed its sixth audit and was unable to fully account for 63% of $3.8 trillion in assets. Can you imagine that? The Congressional Budget Office estimates that we could cut $100 billion from the defense budget without compromising the needs of our service members or our military's mission readiness. In sum, we are spending billions for wars that could instead be used for things like college tuition, healthcare, infrastructure. Also, to make sure that everyone has the quality of life they deserve. We can't act like there's not a solution to creating a responsible defense budget. Together, we must make people question what would truly provide more benefits to the people of this country, secure our national defense, of course, support our troops, another outdated missile or weapon system, or greater access to basic needs in our communities. We must continue to fight for a country that puts people over profits and politics. Thank you again.
Representative Arbor Lee, yes, quite a politician, one of the rare ones. We have another rare one speaking next, our own Rashida Tlaib, representative from Detroit, Michigan, who's also a very busy politician, and she couldn't make it here either. She really wanted to be with you, so she said she's going to send a video message to us. So this is from our own Rashida Tlaib.
Hello, everyone. It's Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. I'm so sorry I couldn't be with all of you in person, but I do want to thank, of course, the Move the Money Michigan Coalition, as well as Wayne County Community College District for hosting this very important conversation. Year after year, I've watched my colleagues tell me that there's no money for life-saving investments in our communities, no money for investment in our public schools, to pay teachers a living wage, to make sure that everyone in our community has health care and a roof over their heads. I consistently even tell them, it feels like over and over again, you can never find money to have clean water, to making sure that our children are not being poisoned with lead and other contaminants. But they always seem to have money to pass another record-breaking over billions and billions of dollars in military budget, and continue to support war and destruction and not life, and being able to support thriving programs here in our communities. We know this past year, $886 billion has been approved for military budget. It's shameful that my colleagues continue to funnel billions of our tax dollars to the very same defense contractors that many of them are invested in and taking campaign contributions from. These are the same defense contractors that are making the bombs to murder innocent people overseas, including Palestinians in Gaza, as well in Lebanon, in the south part of the country. A recent investigation has shown that more than 50 members of Congress right now, on both sides of the aisle, own stock in what they call the big five defense contractors, like Lockheed Martin, as well as RTX. So when my colleagues vote to send more bombs or send our loved ones to war, they profit financially, personally. So of course, I introduced the Stop Politicians Profiting from War Act to put an end to this corruption and ban members of Congress and their families from trading defense stocks. The American people, all of us, all of you in this room, deserve representatives who vote in the best interests of our families. We were all elected to serve the public, not to serve portfolios. So the American people, again, all of us, and many folks and many families in my 12th congressional district know this. We all deserve better. We are sick of politicians, again, profiting from endless wars. We must start working on ending utility shutoffs, boldly taking on the climate crisis, fully funding Social Security, universal school meals for every child that's hungry, guaranteeing health care as a human right is what many of our neighbors across this country deserve. We got to also continue, again, holding them accountable. These are the priorities that many of the folks that continue to vote, many of my colleagues in office, deserve. This is what they want to see Washington, D.C. focus on, not endless death and destruction. So I promise you, I will never sell out. You will never see me owning any stock in the military complex. But we got to make sure, again, that we hold them accountable. We can't say they'll do the right thing every single time. We've got to make them do the right thing. So again, thank you so much for coming together and convening this very important dialogue and conversation. I really, truly appreciate the work you all are doing on this.
Yes, Rashida Tlaib, we're very lucky to have her in our district here. She's in Washington now, battling all the warmongers over there, so she's fighting a tough battle like Barbara Lee did for many years. And now we're going to have a message from Jodie Evans, who's the co-founder of CodePink, which is, as you know, it's a very effective women-led or grassroots organization working to end U.S. wars and militarism, support peace and human rights initiatives, and redirect their tax dollars into health care, education, green jobs, and other life-affirming programs. She was more than happy and willing to send us a message for this gathering. So let's hear from CodePink co-founder, Jodie Evans.
Thank you so much for inviting me to join you tonight. And I'm sorry I can't be there with you in person, because being together right now as peace activists is one of the most important things we can do. We need to nourish each other. We need to inspire each other. We need to educate each other. And you all are doing that right now. So I just want to start by celebrating the Michigan Peace Council and that you are launching this new Move the Money campaign. So we have many campaigns like this at CodePink, and they do many things. And I think it's super important that we think about what is the strategy around these campaigns? Why are we doing them? And what do we want out of them? So for sure, we want to end war, and we want to end our tax dollars funding war. So that is the ultimate goal. But in the process, all engagement, all the change that we're looking for starts locally. And there you are the seed, you are the force. It's like, it doesn't happen without what is happening locally. And by having a campaign to move the money, you are educating others. We are so miseducated with mainstream media and with the lies that are just poured into us through our culture, through our media. And so this is a campaign that really, really helps educate those who are closest to us, because remember, activism is, we affect the person closest to us, not our Aunt Helen that's never going to change, but people who are confused and used by the war machine. And really see yourself as in service to those you love, in service to those whose hearts and minds are being used by war and weapons. So this campaign is how you educate, how you pull people off of the war machine. And I call it the war economy, because what I learned at CodePink quite a few decades ago was that we're not going to end war till we end the war economy. The extractive, destructive, oppressive economy that is killing you, your communities, and the planet, because war just serves the war economy. So, being engaged locally is how we engage in the peace economy, how we be relational and not transactional, how we understand how we're being used. And you are all about to launch into that. And it is beautiful work, because when we're watching the violence that is happening with our tax dollars, being together, working together, learning together, because you will learn so much in the process, not only as you teach, but as you're in conversations and you learn what's out there and what people are grounded in and what stories they're standing on top of that you need to help unpack. We have identified exactly what can be done that doesn't affect the protection of America at all. It does affect our bloody hands infiltrating the rest of the world. So this is all possible. It is all doable. And what it needs is for us to be engaged. So much gratitude. There is work to be done. We have many tools for you at CodePink. We've had a campaign for the last decade, divest from weapons, and in it there are many tools that you can use. We've moved cities, states, retirement accounts, pension funds. It just takes everyone getting together and moving forward, because nobody's asking. Just think about it. Nobody's asking people to divest, and people don't want their money being spent on the devastation of other people and the planet. Don't forget, war is the greatest contributor to climate change. So you are also saving the planet. And then, we need to be cultivating our local peace economies. And so we have work that you can be doing together at peaceeconomy.org, because the war economy also forces us into horrible addictions of behavior. And if we practice the peace economy together in community, as we're engaged in action, we become an unbeatable force. Deepest gratitude, and onward to peace.
Thank you, Jodie. And she made the point very strongly that this is a network. This is bringing people together. We have to all work together. That's why this coalition is spread as wide as we can to include as many people as possible. We try to keep the politics on the lower levels so that we can all find common ground to work together. So if you can work with other people, you're part of our group. So join us, please. We do have, let's bring it to the local level, we do have a representative or two from CodePink here in Michigan. So let's welcome Jack. Is it Jackie? Let's welcome Jack. She's going to say a couple words about the local team.
Hey everybody, thanks for having us. As you heard from Jodie, the wonderful Jodie, I'm sure you all know Medea as well. CodePink is absolutely 100% in alignment with the Move the Money Coalition and with everything that we're doing here today. To bring it to the local, we have some local campaigns right now. We're working on keeping a new munitions facility out of Grayling, Michigan. They're looking to give millions of dollars in grants and bring in a lot more pollution and all of the things. So right now our campaign is reaching out to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources and telling them we do not want to sell Michigan state land to be used to build munitions facilities. We have lots of information about that back at our table, and we would love to have you join us at our bi-weekly meetings every other Tuesday. We are just getting going, and we're ready to hit the ground running. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you, Jackie, and check out the tables, of course, before you leave. A lot of groups brought the tables here with important information. Hopefully we'll have a chance at the end of this gathering here. Now we're going to go live with real people here in the room. They're going to speak. We thank all the ones who sent messages. And, now, the great Mary Waters, Detroit's councilwoman, is the person who helped us install pass the money resolution in Detroit, which is the first resolution in the country, move the money resolution. So Mary Waters helped us. She also helped us find this facility to have this event, helped us with the connection. So she's on her way to helping us. And when we get to more public forums, she'll be with us. So it's very nice to know Mary Waters is here. She's not here in person today, but she did send a very adequate replacement. And her name is Santana Hill. She's going to say a few words on Mary Waters' behalf. So please welcome Santana.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you, members of the Michigan Peace Council Coalition. Councilmember Waters always says that housing, like energy and water, is a human right. Let me say it again, housing, like water and energy, is a human right. And think of what it will take to bring those human rights to the people. Our constituents don't want increased military spending. Our constituents want reliable transportation. They want reliable, affordable housing. They want low property taxes, and they want clean, drinkable water. And council members' resolution indicated that this council is different. This council is about the people. This council is about bringing services to the people. And to that end, council member and the entire Detroit City Council not only had a resolution calling for a ceasefire, but had the resolution calling for money to be moved into social services. One week ago, the Michigan Environmental Justice Coalition hosted a utility ratepayer clinic where Councilmember Waters was the co-sponsor. And during that clinic, we let the people know that there was $162 million within Detroit's budget that was unallocated. If we took just 1% of that unallocated money, $1.62 million, we would be able to fund a utility assistance program that would be able to spread the affordability of our utilities, of our energy around the city, and hopefully serve as a model for cities across Michigan. But the only way we can do that is with the help of our state and with the help of our federal government. But you, the people, are the power. You guys are the only way. The Move the Money Coalition is one of the only ways that we are able to reach up the chain and take that money and move it into providing those human rights of housing, water, and energy. It has been proven time and again that influx of federal funding helps our local municipalities. Let's talk about the American Rescue Plan Act funds. We received $826 million in federal funding that went on to create programs like the Detroit Down Payment Assistance Program. That program provides $25,000 for homeowners, for people to become homeowners, thus securing the American dream. Wouldn't have been possible without that influx of money from the federal government. And to that end, everyone, please continue to press on your local elected officials so that they can press on your state elected officials so that they can then go up to the federal government and demand that the federal government move the money into social services. There is no reason that we should have one amongst us unhoused. There is no reason we should have one amongst us that cannot afford their medications. And there is no reason that anyone, man, woman, or child, should go hungry in this great nation. Like Councilmember Waters always says, Housing, like water and energy, is a human right, and she is proud to join this coalition in dedicating moving the money back down to social services. Thank you so much for your time today and your work.
Thank you so much. Santana Hill, she's the chief of staff at Mary Waters' office. And she should be the chief of staff in Washington. Would be nice. Okay. Just want to clarify one thing here. The Michigan Peace Council is another group. That's the one that sort of initiated this Move the Money campaign. This is a Move the Money Michigan coalition that we're talking about here. That's who's doing. Michigan Peace Council is just one member of the 26 members in this coalition, and we're all equal. And I'm the temporary chair of this until we have our official elections in a couple weeks. So I'm honored to be doing this work, working with some great people, but this is the Michigan Move the Money campaign for all of us. Now we're going to move to our panelists. We have three because unfortunately one couldn't make it. We're going to start with Jim Rine. He's a retired research geologist and founding member of Veterans for Peace and Veterans for Peace Climate Crisis and Militarism Project. And he's an adjunct professor in the Department of Environmental Science and Geology at Wayne State University in Detroit. And of course, he's an active leader in the new Move the Money Michigan campaign and helped us write the Detroit resolution for moving money. So please welcome Jim Rine.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you folks for letting me say a few words. And as a retired research professor, I'm going to force some graphs on you, essentially, but we'll be saying the same things that like Uncle Devin, but not quite as entertaining. So as a geologist and as a veteran, I'm worried more about climate change than I'm worried about Vladimir Putin and Chairman Xi and all the other supposedly evil folks outside of the United States. But this is a chart here from an international group called the Conflict and Environmental Observatory. And essentially they gathered up this information, which is hard to get because none of the militaries are actually reporting their emissions, just like they can't pass an audit, at least the United States one. And as you can see here, if the global militaries were a country, they would rank fourth. So they're a significant contributor to greenhouse gases. And this isn't just war. In fact, the minor part is war and conflict. It's just playing fun and games of running around in the woods and sailing boats around and doing things like that. So it's more than Russia, a little bit less than India, but it's a significant contributor to emissions. They would about 5 or 6% of emissions, and the major emitter is the United States. We're the big one. We're the big dog on the block. We are the largest institutional emitter of greenhouse gases. This little diagram here shows the B-52 or Stratofortress. That's about as old, almost as old as I am. We're still flying around. There's always one in the air, more than one probably. 1 hour of this airplane is equal to 7 cars traveling a year, average car a year. So a lot of emissions because they spend a lot more than 1 hour in the air. So okay, one airplane, no big deal. Well, the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. fleet, which includes the Navy and the Air Force, is the largest fleet of aircraft in the world. It's, let's see, it's, I always forget the numbers. But so it's it's much larger than 4 times China and 3 times larger than Russia. And, you know, we're worried about, I know the generals are saying, well, China is increasing their spending, making their, more airplanes. Well, because we got a lot more airplanes than they do. So we're the big dogs in the block. Now, why is this so big? So this little chart here shows the spending. The top one is the United States. We spend over twice as much as China. We spend over 10 times more than Russia. And essentially, it's about the same, the combined of the 9 to 10 countries in the world. So we spend exorbitantly more money on our militaries. So this is the diagram. The diagram here, this shows the different spending levels in the discretionary spending, so-called. And of course, the big column on the left is military spending. And the others is education, health, and so forth. You know, so why are we picking on the Pentagon or the military to try and move the money? Well, I think it was the FBI was interviewing a bank robber, asking him why he kept robbing banks, and the bank robber said that's where the money is. Well, the Pentagon has the money. So, is this for security? I think Mark Pocan and Barbara Lee, Mary Waters all said the same thing, is that the money is not really for security. Do we really need to spend twice as much as China, 10 times more than Russia? No, it's driven by essentially graft. And I like political cartoons, so I threw that one up there. And essentially, like it was mentioned, the big presidents of these major companies are making $20 million a year. So they give money to Congress. Congress then gives money to the Department of Defense, which half that money goes to contractors, and then the circle sort of stays unbroken, and we have to break that circle. Okay, this particular, but people will say, you know, well, we need the warfare jobs. You know, they're big supplier of jobs. Well, a study by Heidi Pelletier from Brown University, she did an analysis of, you know, how many more jobs you can get with $1 million versus the war industry. So you can get 6 jobs with $1 million in the war industry, but you can get about 3 times more of elementary school education, secondary education, you get twice as more, and you can get many more jobs, well-paying jobs, with that money that should be going, or that is now going to the military complex, the war machine. It should be going to things like this, because we need more solar panels and windmills and things like that, where, you know, we can get the same number of jobs for solar and wind that we can with the, going to the Pentagon. So we keep hearing about this, and Barbara Lee mentioned this, or Pocan mentioned this also, is that the Congressional Budget Office did a study of what would happen if you take $100 billion. So that's why the $100 billion figure is the one we're using right now. And they said that there wouldn't be, and this is not money's going away from soldiers, but just from armaments and things like that, an operation. And you will not significantly hurt the so-called defense capabilities of the military. But then taking another joke, what do you call 1,000 lawyers that chained at the bottom of the ocean? A good start. I think that was from the movie Philadelphia. And this would be a good start. You could half the Pentagon budget, and you still would be spending more than China and Russia combined. Okay, so I'm not going to go into this in detail, but it sort of lists all the things that you can get with this $100 billion. If you go to the National Priority Project, NPP, you can find this, so you can get, you know, do all the things that, you know, we need to do. Everybody gets a check for $700, put solar panels or on people's homes. A lot of things that can be done a lot more fruitfully, not profitably, but something that would be much better than weapons. Because that's essentially what do you have with the weapon once you have made it? You can't do anything with it. It doesn't produce anything like a solar panel would. It would produce energy. So why are we're talking about two programs that were mentioned by Barbara Lee and Mark Pocan. There's Move the Money, which is grassroots, which is recruiting our city governments to ask our members of Congress and the president to lower the budget. At the same time, there is a bill that was introduced in the last Congress and in this Congress by Barbara Lee and Mark Pocan to take the same amount of money away. So we're trying to get more and more people. There are only right now 20 co-sponsors, about 20 co-sponsors of this bill, and the Move the Money is a way to get more Congress people to sign on to this. So in ending, it's not just freeing the money, but shouldn't the United States, we're supposed to be this shining whatever on the hill, and it shouldn't be a shining gun emplacement on the hill, which is what we are now. Martin Luther King has said, it's ridiculous to spend more money on warfare than social good. There's something wrong with your soul. And even Eisenhower has said that every gun and ship that's funded is money taken away from the citizens. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim Rine, yes. And he's been working hard for this coalition to keep it going. So we have so many great activists out in this audience here. I could see it. Many of you I know. I'm so thrilled that we're working together and you're here for this and we can go forward together. Let's keep this in mind. Let's drop all differences and work on this one issue together. Right now we're very excited to have this young woman with us because she's an up-and-coming star in the activist movement. She's a skilled trades mold maker at the UAW Local 160. She's a member of UAWD, Unite All Workers for Democracy, yes. I thought it was UAW branch or something, but no, it's totally different. Okay. And she's co-chair of the UAWD Palestine Solidarity and Peace Economy Committee. So she's active, very active already at a young age, and we're very excited to have her here. So please welcome Jessie Kelly.
I was excited. I thought you were going to make up your own acronym. Okay, so I just want to thank everybody for having me here today to discuss such an important topic. I want to thank Frank Haber for always introducing me to new and exciting groups that are already doing the work that I think will make the most necessary changes in the world that we live in. I want to thank all the other speakers who have been so incredible and have inspired me, and a huge thank you to Detroit City Council, who unanimously passed the Move the Money resolution, making them the first city in the United States to adopt a resolution to call on Congress and the President to shift significant funds from the military budget towards funding essential social service programs. Thank you for not only talking about it, but being about it and doing the hard work of organizing and education and platform building. So a little bit about me. My name is Jessie Kelly. I'm a skilled trades mold maker at UAW Local 160 in Warren, Michigan. I also belong to UAW Reform Caucus called UAWD, which we just talked about. I am the co-chair for the Palestine Solidarity and Peace Economy Committee. Our focus is on building solidarity with the Palestinian working class, fighting to honor their strike line, build strong international class consciousness, and organize around divestment and arms embargo. I spend my time educating and platform building around a just transition for weapons manufacturing workers as we fight to move from a war economy to a peace economy. This fight was personal for me because I remember the fear I experienced as an auto worker around the transition from internal combustion engines into EV. The fear of job cuts because we would need less labor for an EV product had me fighting against my own self-interest for a better world because I was afraid to lose my job and lose my standard of living. It It wasn't until it was proven to me at a panel much like this that I learned a transition into a green economy will not only save our planet, but also have the ability to generate more jobs and more opportunities if we stand together and demand a just transition that won't leave the workers behind. This is the position that my fellow manufacturing workers in the military-industrial complex find themselves in today. And we are here to tell you that we can demand a just transition and that we can transition our manufacturing power away from war and into products that meet humans' needs while simultaneously creating more jobs and more opportunities. In fact, the same amount of spending generated for more jobs, the same amount of spending generates more jobs in certain non-military sectors because of differences in labor intensity, domestic investment, and wage levels. Like Jim just mentioned, Brown University came out with a case study that says, and I quote, "Reports show that reducing military funding and increasing funding into areas like healthcare, education, infrastructure, or clean energy will create jobs. Dollar for dollar, these alternative areas of federal spending create between 9% to 250% more jobs than the military. And a just transition is possible in order to ease the transition for workers and communities that are dependent on military spending, as investments are made and jobs are created in other industries." They go on to say that the data shows a clear picture. U.S. taxpayers have gotten exactly what they paid for, which is an economy that is devoted to the military, both in the terms of spending and in the terms of jobs. While federal spending could have created a more economically diverse and environmentally sustainable economy with greater employment opportunities, the U.S. government has instead devoted the bulk of its resources to military. This has created a vicious cycle in which resources beget more resources. Military solutions crowd out diplomatic solutions. Military contractors become more profitable and more politically powerful, and when budget negotiations take place on Capitol Hill, military funding is seen. For every $1 billion, and that's just $1 billion in military spending, we could be creating approximately 11,200 jobs, or to put it in other terms, for $100 billion Pentagon cut, we could be hiring 1 million elementary school teachers amid a worsening teacher shortage, helping reduce class sizes and set our children up for success. And imagine this, we are on the precipice of nearing $1 trillion of the Pentagon budget as we sit here today. I know a lot of you in this room can think of other ways we could be using that money to benefit our everyday lives. In 2023, there was a $1.8 trillion federal budget, and out of that, $1.1 trillion, or 62%, was for military programs. ICE got $8.8 billion, and Customs and Border Protection got $17.4 billion. For context, this is nearly triple the spending allotted for mental health. Federal prisons and the FBI and other law enforcement agencies received $31 billion, whereas childcare and early childhood education programs only got half of that. Just to give you an idea of positive investments we could have made, with a $100 billion annual cut, we could fund 10 times more households with public housing. Or we could send every 1 out of 3 children ages 0 to 5 to Head Start. Or every 1 in 3 veterans could receive medical care. Or every 7 in 10 uninsured adults could receive health care. Or we could fund solar power for every household in the US with billions of dollars still left to spare. For the nearly $26 billion that ICE and CBP received in 2023, we could have hired 230,000 registered nurses among their shortages, provided early childhood education for more than 500,000 kids. We could have built solar farms for power that would power more than half the nation's households. And all of these are just short-term ideas. If we expand out on this idea, we could even reach as far as being able to fully decarbonize the US electrical grid, create 5 million jobs at $15 an hour with benefits and cost of living adjustments for 10 years. We could totally erase all student loan debts, and we could continue to extend the child tax credit for another 10 years and guarantee free preschool for every 3 and 4-year-old for the next 10 years, while giving raises to teachers. Ultimately, what we're seeing here today is that by reducing the military budget and funding other priorities, this will help us increase other forms of security in the world that we live in. Meaningful human security that is rooted in the means of maintaining good health, good living conditions, and a productive, well-educated society, while also increasing employment and raising a standard of living for the whole working class. So thank you all for being here with me today, and I'm excited to be in this fight and make a more equitable society for us all.
Jessie, Kelly, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. Let's remember to praise the Detroit City Council every now and then. I mean, they do things good every now and then. So, we don't agree with them all the time, but let's tell them thank you so much for passing the Move the Money resolution, and let's have them help us continue on the project and set up some more public forums. Also, the Hamtramck City Council, by the way, was the second city in the country to pass the Move the Money resolution. So 2 cities so far. And that's one of our projects, is to get other cities to pass it. Okay. We have another Taylor coming up for you, ladies and gentlemen. This person is well known by all of us. State chairperson of Michigan Welfare Rights Organization, school social worker, chair of the People's Water Board Coalition, former member of the Governor's Racial Disparities Committee on COVID, and many, many more. She's led a long life of activism. She's so strong and committed, and she's a lot of fun too. She's lifts our smiles on our faces, and we love her so much. Thank you so much for being here. Let's welcome Maureen Taylor.
Don't read anything into what he said about me being a lot of fun. Don't be thinking nothing different. My name is Maureen Taylor, and I bring you greetings from Michigan Welfare Rights. A couple of things I said when I first came in and met some of the folks that I've known for a long, long time, and I referred back to Lou Rawls, the late Lou Rawls, who sang a song a long time ago. We're in a world of trouble. That's where we are. That's where we are today. All kinds of difficult things are happening. And I thought I'd do show and tell today. You ever seen this before? This is a message about your home being foreclosed on. I got one of these on my porch this morning. Yeah, don't be alarmed. I'm in a dispute about whether or not I should pay taxes or not, in a big argument with them. And they're saying the fact that I'm working part-time and I've got a car that's paid for and the house is already taken care of, I should be able to pay whatever they assess. And of course, I write a letter back. Let your mother pay for my house. You're telling me what I need to do. So I'm in this dispute, so I got this. And I just wonder if they think, is that going to frighten me? That ship has sailed. See, I'm in a whole nother area of discussion about this. So on Monday or Tuesday, somebody going to pay for putting this on my porch. See, yes, right, that's how that's going to work. I'm focusing my remarks today about basic needs. And to get a foreclosure notice on your front porch, for most folks, is frightening, I'm not built that way. When Marion brought me into welfare rights, and some of the other folks that went welfare rights, the message there was do the right thing, fight for what is appropriate, and let the chips fall where they may. Got no problem with that, but you can't scare me. We got welfare rights members all across the country, and I'd go live with any of them at any time. So this fight this dog don't hunt. I got the same message that my darling Frank over here and some of these other folks, Bill, sent me about this budget for the military. My friend Furcon is not here today because he would have gone into detail about the lack of educational opportunities, even at the school where I am. We don't have enough anything. And you would think that this would be a priority issue, making certain that our children eat and have safety and books and notebooks and whatever else that should be managed. It's not happening anywhere across the country, and it's just madness. Maslow had something called a hierarchy of basic needs. Some of you all might remember that. Some of those, that phrase came out of some high school, mostly college. And you all, some of you all had to remember much further back than others about Maslow's activities or whatnot. And he talked about food, housing, healthcare. And for us to live in this country and not have access to those things is a damn scandalous moment. It is. This document, no, we don't clap because we ain't doing right. We will need no applause. We are not doing what we should be doing. This is called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. If you don't have one, check with us, the welfare rights at the end of the day, and you need to get one. Article 25, see, this is how things have changed. I have to deal with this right here now, okay? Everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for health and well-being of that person and that person's family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond that person's control. Caveat number 2, motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protection. It's a goddamn shame we live in a country where people are standing, this brother right here. Where did the phrase come from, a homeless vet? How you put those two words together in a sentence, a homeless vet? How that work? With the military budget in the damn billions and trillions, how can we have something like that? How do you have a homeless mother and child? What's that mean? How can that be? And that mother and child that don't have a place to live, or that homeless vet that's standing on the corner with a sign that says we'll work for food, had to walk past 50 buildings. 50 buildings. Nobody living in them in order to get to that corner. What kind of damn country is this we live in? The bigger question is what I see here and what I'm guilty of all the time. Asking people, would you please free me? Asking people, will you still please help me? I was in the Holocaust. I was in the concentration camp. And I pulled my team together and I said, look, I don't like the way we live in here. So why don't we get a petition? And sign a petition, and we're going to get this petition to these Nazis. And we're going to say, look, we're upset by the way we're being treated. And we want you to know we're upset, and you better change your ways. Well, how do you think that might have turned out? You know, and that's the way we keep acting. You know, my friends over here from Jill Stein, they're going up the mountain to try to get somebody to pay attention to something other than the Democrats and the Republicans. And it doesn't matter because we keep on asking the enemy, why don't you treat us better? How do you think this gonna work? I still don't understand. After Jewish people were killed and burned alive and every horrible thing on earth happened, what the Palestinians do to that? How come they didn't move to Germany, where the Nazis lived? What the hell was going on here? And it continues this way because we allow these corporations to define who is our enemy, who are our friends. And they figure this stuff out and feed a little bit to her, feed a little bit to him, and then we at each other's throats. And I can promise you, every mother and father across this world wants the same as I want for my kid. We all want a house to live in. We all want health care. We all want food. We all want security. We want all of those things. Even the governor here, who I like Big Gretch. I like her. She got some stuff going on. The American, what's the name of it? The American Rescue Act, and paid lights and gas and rent and all that kind of stuff for 18 months. But then the money went out and ran out. And what happened? You couldn't get your stuff paid for no more. What the hell is it that we're doing? Everybody in this room has the, I'm going to need an additional 2 minutes. Let me tell you right now, so you might as well bring that sign up another time, all right? Everybody in this room has the capacity to say, here's what we're going to do. This apartment building right here is empty, it's boarded up. We got some retired, what do you call them, carpenters, some retired electricians. We going over there to that building, and we gonna put up a big sign. Marion and I sit out front, and we gonna fill out a new document that's a lease. How long you wanna live in here? Can you pay $12 a month? Sign right here. I'm a Detroiter. I can pass anything. I don't care what it says. I'll sign it, and you go in there. And then we send in our electrician, go get the electricity working in there. We'll send a plumber, go stop them drips that's going on in there. We got that painter, go in there and find out what color they want that kitchen to be painted and make that happen. And after a couple of weeks, a couple of months, that'll be Freedom House number 1. And then we're gonna find the next one and the next one. I'm going to end my remarks because I want to say to you, if you didn't remember anything I've said today, think about being in a war situation, millions of dollars going back and forth. I want to kill this one person in the Middle East, so I murder 8,000 others that are in the neighborhood. And we keep going along with this mess. This is not sustainable. We cannot continue to depend on elected officials to fix our problems. They got what they want to get. Once they get in office, sometimes it gets a little hard for them to hear us. But that means the following, and I'm almost done. Here's the people walking down the street. Hear a bunch of noise, and here's a big apartment building. So what's all that? Go in the apartment building, open the front door. What's going on in here? Look, we having all kinds of problems with this immigration. And we don't want this, and we want this to be a certain kind of way. Well, that's a good fight. Come on, go with us, because we walking in this direction. And some more noise in the same apartment building. And we go and open the door. We're having some trouble with women and the problem that they're having with choosing what we want for our own bodies. That's a good fight. Send a couple of people out here and come and go with us. And we go to the next apartment, and the next apartment, and the next apartment. And we keep adding more and more people till finally we get to the end of this apartment complex, and we got experts that want to talk about housing, immigration, war, all those things, and they all in the same group. We put them on a locomotive, the front car, and then we put and add another train car, and another train car, and another train car, and we go across the country, and we gather people that want the country to change. We got 4 years. In 2028, we have to be finished with this freedom train going across the country. So in 2028, along with our UAWD brothers and sisters, we're going to shut this country down May 1st, 2028, and we're going to tell folks, you want to get elected somewhere? Make it worth my while to listen. My name is Maureen Taylor. I serve as state chairperson of this and I thank you for your attention.
Maureen Taylor. Maureen, you got to learn to let your feelings out. One and only, so passionate. If we could all be that passionate. She says what I like to say in that way, but we all feel what she's saying totally. So great to have these panelists today. Let's give them all a nice round of applause. And thank you for being here. We're going to do a sort of like a question and comment session here. I know you all, because you're activists, you all know how to talk and you all want to say stuff. But let's keep it to 2 minutes maximum, and we're going to have a little microphone up here. And, you can come up and sort of line up if you can, and we'll give you all a chance to ask or talk for a couple minutes.
My name is Julie Brock. I'm Reverend Julie Brock. I am a minister of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Detroit, and I have one question for Ms. Taylor, and that is, how do I get you in my pulpit?
My number is 313-729-5558. We'll talk afterwards and we'll see what we can do.
My name is Gene. I'm also a member of Welfare Rights, and I just want to make a few comments real quick about the nature of these wars going on right now. What you see is the obsolescence of weapons that we've paid billions of dollars for now becoming useless and being replaced by weapons that are going to cost billions of dollars even more. The M1A1 Abrams tank, they can't even use it in Ukraine anymore because it's nothing but a rolling coffin. It can be hit by drones. Same thing with the Russian battleships that were in the Black Sea. One of the biggest ones in Moscow was hit by a handful of drones, destroyed in minutes. And already Trump, when he was president, he designed a new branch of the military that's taking weapons into outer space. And the Biden administration is continuing to do the same thing. And as we know, space is infinite. We have to stop this whole weapons thing, this whole war thing right away because it's useless, it's expensive, we can't afford it anymore, and all it does is spread mass death. The 67 war where Israel took thousands of miles of territory in a 6-day period, and now they can't even go 6 blocks in Gaza without killing thousands of babies and not making any progress whatsoever. They're no closer to ending that war now than they were when it began. It's got to stop, people. Got to stop.
Very well said. Thank you so much for your comments.
Greetings, and I want to thank you. This is Frank Haber. I'm a union brother for Jessie Kelly, and there's a lot of things going on in the UAW that you all ought to be looking at because we got change. We're making change. I think that it behooves us to put a time on this event. We're just about a week away from a national election. And I know that that national election is not going to change what we spend on war. But there is going to be one change that I think we should be mindful of, potentially. And I'm putting together a flyer that I'd like to pass out to you when you step out. And that is in regards to the very, very important subject that Jim Rine talks about, and that's climate crisis. We are, as I'm sure many of you know, on a steep course of a global rise in temperature. And we know that the oceans are warming. We've seen catastrophic hurricanes. My son and daughter-in-law live near Asheville, and we've gotten some very detailed descriptions. Downtown is deserted. They have no water. No water. Infrastructure. And many people have died. And as the climate crisis expands, it will cause many, many more deaths. This election will be a choice between an election denier, I'm sorry, not an election denier, or somebody that has given lip service to the question of climate. If we allow Trump, who is the climate denier, into the White House, we are going to have a very difficult time fighting the crisis that's looming, and we're seeing evidence of every day. I think it's important for us to take a stand. I agree that it isn't going to make a bit of difference with regard to the military. Biden increased the budget way over what Trump is spending, but I do think on the question of climate, we have to really pay attention and address the election that's coming around a week from Tuesday. Thank you.
My name is Theo, Broughton, co-founder of Hood Research, a community organization that does all that it can to share information for people who know better, do better. Yesterday, I heard a little boy being interviewed. He was about 10 years old, and his name is Gregory Robert Smith. He's 10 years old, and he's in college right now. He's a genius. And one of the things he said during his interview is that the children are important. Education is important. There are many things that could be and should be done to help develop the minds of young people. He said that he would like to be the president of the United Nations, and one day he'd like to be president of the United States because he wants to do everything he can to help all people in the world. And it was very heartwarming to hear a child say that, because we have too many adults running around trying to see how much they can stuff into their pockets, how much power they can have. And the gentleman before me talked about how dangerous it would be if Donald Trump were to get in office. I definitely agree with that. There's one thing I heard from a young man who's fighting to get control over the disrespect of the red light disrespect that goes on. Anyway, but let young people know that Donald Trump has said that they have not heard. If he gets into office and as a dictator, he will tell the police, you can now take off the cameras on your body and the cameras in your car, which means there would be no way to show a lot of evidence. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tawanna Morris, and I'm a member of Michigan Welfare Rights, a long-time fighter in the street. I'm a retired police officer, and my income is not that great. I do try to earn money on the side, but I got a limit that I can make. I don't have a brand new car, and I make ends meet. But now I hope that we can find a way that they can lift that retirement requirement so that, because time is growing and the bills are getting higher. It's hard. So please, once we're talking about and doing something about what we said we're going to do, and I'm in 101. Thank you.
I am Odile Hugonot Haber. I am French, and I'm speaking for the Women International League for Peace and Freedom. It's an organization that has been for over 100 years now, speaking about ending wars and giving a people's budget instead, what we just advocate today. It used to be called the Women's Agenda, and we used to show how much each weapon could provide in schooling for children. And we would say, oh, it's great if the Pentagon could do a bake sale cookie for money, and we would have money for our children. And now we can see that we are murdering children left and right in so many countries. For what? For the benefit of a weapons industry. And it's really heartbreaking to see that. Heartbreaking. We need to, I was in Turkey, Eastern Turkey, with a group that did the Flying Carpet Festival for Syrian children, refugees in Turkey. And every day they gave workshops to children, and every evening it was a performance. And it was like creating a culture of peace. That's what we need to do, create a culture of peace and end wars. So anyway, we have a table over there, and we have many magazines called Peace and Freedom magazine. They are free, so please go up and take some magazines. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandhya, this is Lauren. We're from the Michigan Action for Cuba Committee. It's so good to be in this room today. Such an honor to be invited. So yeah, Michigan Action for Cuba Committee is a group of people in southeastern Michigan mostly that are organizing to end U.S. imperialist terror against Cuba. And it's really relevant and timely to be in the room today. $20 million as a part of the overinflated defense budget is used to subjugate and suppress and oppress Cubans. And as many people in the room here today probably know, the U.S. blockade against Cuba is genocidal and is an act of economic warfare on top of the political warfare and the military warfare that the U.S. engages in. So moving the money is helpful to many projects, to many revolutionary projects across the world, and it's thanks to the efforts of so many activists and revolutionaries in this room today that many of us know Cuba and its solidarity with Palestine so close to us. I didn't know if there was anything else you wanted to say, Lauren. I just wanted to say that we are organizing for a May Day trip, a Solidarity Brigade, that will happen again this year. It's been going on since the 60s, I believe. And so if anyone is interested in that, we can sign you up. We also have a November 10th, we're going to have an online brigade interest meeting with more information. So, Viva Cuba.
Beautiful, everyone here. I'm Alan Haber, and I was here, I think it's 12 or 13 years ago when the United States Social Forum was in Detroit. And afterwards, and there were thousands of people, 10,000 people, I don't know how many. 35,000. 35,000. 35. Well, afterwards, we had a Michigan caucus, got together, there was about 700 people, and the decision of that, which I think is very relevant to what we're doing now, is the state of Michigan needs a commission on peace and justice to identify what actually are the human needs that need to be met in the state of Michigan. Looking at communities all over the state, get together in the commons in some place where people could talk and make the agenda of what your community needs. And we did a poster for that. It's now called Move the Money. Then it was called Movable Peace. But the idea was to identify where we all were, and we identified 100 communities in Michigan. In each of those communities, and we're all in different places, come to the commons, make the agenda of what is needed for peace and justice, and see that as the common need of our state, as the mission of this coalition, where the money needs to go to the various peace and justice organizations all over the state. So I hope you'll take a look at that poster and maybe see that we're all part of a state with many, many communities, each with their needs. So we just got to keep getting together, and this is a beautiful start. I'm glad that everybody is here.
One of the consequences of U.S. military spending is that we're building a three-front world war in the Middle East, Ukraine, China. We're building bases that didn't exist years ago. Philippines used to be occupied since its colonial days. The United States is rebuilding, built bases there. The United States is at war with the Russian Navy, which has ports in Crimea, which is a historically Russian territory. And the U.S. has been building a naval base there. We are funding, the White House claimed that the Azov Battalion, which was known, and Congress passed a law stating no U.S. funding to the Azovs. The White House has systematically ignored it. It's still a Nazi organization. The White House whitewashed it and said we're going to start funding and arming them. And that's going on. But they have spun off more formations under guises, the 3rd Mechanized Brigade and other things. And a few months ago, they held a big Euro-Nazi conference. And American-funded military Azov murderers were a leading part of that conference. They're welcome in NATO headquarters. They're welcome by British military intelligence. They're part of the formations that go back to the U.S. recruitment of Nazis after World War II. And we are funding that today. They have erected not many statues to the leader of the Nazi formations that allied with Hitler in World War II, Stepan Bandera. They named streets after him. This is what the U.S.-sponsored government does. And our taxpayer dollars are funding it. We're building a Nazi movement, and the press won't cover it.
Thank you, Russ, for your comments. Obviously, there's more in that story, and we'd love to hear more from all of you. We have Mary Waters here, who finished her other event that she had to be at, and we'd like to have her just come up and say a couple of words. We already had your representative speak for you. She did such a great job, but I'd like them to all know who you are, because we complimented you, Mary, on the fact that you helped us find this establishment for this event, this facility, the great people who work here. Plus, you led the charge at the Detroit Council for the Move the Money resolution, the first one in the country. Right. This is Mary Waters.
Wow, so thank you so much. I'm glad that Santana did a great job, and I'm so happy that I have staff that just love their community, and they're where I am on the issues, and that in itself helps a great deal. So I want to thank all of you for all of the hard work that you do on behalf of people in Michigan and in this country, because it is organizations like yourselves who keep things moving, literally moving. Now, it was easy for me to offer up that resolution. I also took a very tough stand on the war. I don't really call it a war, but you all know, let me tell you, and I don't have to tell you this, but they came after me with guns blazing. Took some things, lied about some things, and distorted some others. And spent over $8 million to stop me. Now, I want to say, somebody told me to wear this as a badge of honor because it took them all of that money just to stop me. So, but they don't want people in office who has a voice, who will be strong and stand up on things. They want people that they can dictate to, literally. Literally. And so when you have people like me who's willing to take a strong stand, oh, they're just not going to have it. They will not have it. But nevertheless, I went through it, and the most terrible thing about the whole thing for me was the fact that I felt like it was terror on the community. They literally terrorized the community. I had senior citizens come to me and said, Ms. Waters, make them stop. Please make them stop. We know you. Another one came to me crying. They wanted it to stop. I couldn't stop it. I couldn't help them. And I didn't have the money to fight back, to tell my side of the story. So I wanted to share that with you all because I know that organizations like yourselves, you know and you understand what it means when you take a strong stand and how they come after you. And I'm listening, I'm thinking, I'm so puzzled. By people, this should not be a close race. Oh my goodness. It should not be close at all. Right. I mean, you have a man who has told you what he's going to do. He means it. They want to get the U.S. involved in a war. As he said, you'll never have to vote again. You see, you get a war going on our side, then there's an excuse to keep that president in office. Oh, some of us, we picked that whole card. We know what they're up to. But I just hope that we can stop it. That we can stop this. I was just on a tour with Al Sharpton yesterday. We're crisscrossing various cities throughout the state, trying to get people. Don't want to vote for her because she's a female, for real. He reminded them, he says, now, any man here in this room, if you had someone else to give birth to you other than a female, please stand.
Nobody's stupid. We are in trouble. We are in trouble. Did you see that guy giving out $1 million checks? Is that not illegal? I mean, they can do everything to break the law, and they can get away with it because they have money. It's sad. And I'm going to continue to fight and pray for our country and continue to work with organizations such as you. And I know Santana did the rest because we need that money back here, Bill. We do, for housing and other issues that we have here in the United States. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor Waters. You can watch the video of this program and see what all the other people said about you and all that too. Yeah, we love you and thank you for the work you do. And we also said that the council doesn't always vote correctly, so we'll check you on a few other things. Thank you. But we love you. Appreciate your support of this. And after this election's over, this year's over, I know Mary's going to be with us to help us through this. So I do want to mention a couple things before. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for contributing to the Michigan Move the Money Coalition. There's a gentleman here from a group that was formed about a year ago called the Michigan Peace Alliance. It's a Zoom meeting right now. It's hard to get people together from all across the state. His name is Terry Link. He's from Lansing, and he's led all of our meetings for the last year or so and knows about this group. And we have several group organizations in this alliance. If you're a group that would like to be part of this alliance, it's the Michigan Peace Alliance. Doing a lot of work like we're doing. They've been doing it for a long time. Terry's in the back there with the wave your hand, Terry. There he is. So please see him if you want to be part of the Michigan Peace Alliance. We all got together for this event. Where do we go from here? What's our next best step to move the money from warfare to human needs? Well, there's 4 points that I want to mention. One is, we're a coalition. We are in this together. We're all in this together. That means we need everyone in the organization to get on board. That means that your organization needs to hear us about moving the money from Pentagon spending to meeting human needs. We can say to others, we want to speak to your organization. Here's how to schedule a presentation, all that sort of stuff. Second, we need to get city councils to adopt the Move the Money resolution, like the city councils in Detroit and Hamtramck have done. Who can you talk to in your city council and to get them to sponsor a resolution, everyone? We have the model resolution already written. You can start with that. We can go with you to get the cities on board. We can help each other. After all, cities need money, that's going to Pentagon. So cities need money for roads, that's going instead to nuclear weapons spending. Third point, we need to talk to senators, Gary Peters and Debbie Stabenow, and our representatives. Representatives Tlaib, Rashida, and Sri Vandor are already on board with this program. But we need to get to the rest of Michigan's delegations. So you can join a group, meet with members of Congress, and press our Move the Money project. And fourthly, this is Reverend Richard Peacock talking now, but I agree with him. Speaking of members in Congress, we need to flood members of Congress with emails and phone calls to get them to support the People Over Pentagon bill that we heard about earlier from Barbara and Lee and Mark Pocan. And it would remove $100 billion from the military budget and use our tax dollars to repair roads and build affordable housing. And Rashida stopped politicians from profiting from War Act. We got to do that one, support her on that, which would force our elected officials to actually be more transparent about their kickbacks. Also talk to our panelists today that were here tonight before you leave. Talk to them, see how we can help each other. Tell them about your ideas, your next step, get your help and to get our help. Secondly, what is the next best step to take to move the money? Join the Michigan Move the Money Coalition. Be part of this coalition that many of us here are part of already. And come to our next meeting, which is going to be on Saturday afternoon, November 9th, at the Hamtramck Library, where members of our group will be there. Member groups will be at the meeting, and we also invite other people who would like to join and be part of this to come to this meeting. It won't be open to the public. It's going to be just members and people who want to be members. Lastly, check out our literature tables. Please, these people brought their stuff to share with all of you. Make sure you see all this before you go. We're ending early. This is very good. We allotted 2 hours, and we got extra time for you to see these tables. And we thank you all for being here at the initial first meeting of the Move the Money Michigan campaign. Thank you so much for being here.
And the president needs to hear this too. Move the money. Both parties playing us like a fool. Move the money. We want to feed the people, yes we do. Move the money. We got the students, the teachers, the pre-K, the seniors. The budgets are cut, so teachers are leaving. The music and arts, the students, they want it. But just like free lunch, politicians, they cut it. So Congress can give more money for war that makes the rich richer and increasing the poor. So don't you dare laugh, cause it's not funny. We have to organize to move the money. Hey Congress, we demand from you. Move the money. And the president needs to hear this too. Move the money. Both parties playing us like a fool. Move the money. We want to feed the people, yes we do.